trailblazers in the genre of comedy. Like, as far as just like who did it first. I mean, there's a lot of people we can point the finger at.
Whole, you don't really have that in most other art forms,
Right?
You know?
Yeah.
Oh gosh, let's talk about stand-up comedy.
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head, man. I mean, it is one of the most raw and passionate forms of art that we have left. And one of the reasons I say that is because in stand-up comedy, what you have is you have an individual who is up on stage in front of an audience. But all they have is a mic. Nothing else. There's no instrument. There's no there's no there is nothing to enhance their performance other than themselves. They can't defer anything to anyone else. If they fail, it's on them. If you don't laugh, it's because they weren't funny.
Yeah.
Like there's no getting around it. So because of that intense pass or fail,
Ooh.
people are very weary to get up there, and understandably so. Stand-up comedy is one of the most tough professions to get into. I mean, gosh. You gotta probably do stand-up for 10 years before you even think about catching a break. And you gotta bomb a million times, but there's something so, like you were saying, beautiful about it because they're exempt.
Yeah.
They're almost exempt because what you were saying about like woke culture, and that's, it's become kind of a problem in our country because of the cancel aspect, the cancel culture that's come along with woke culture, or whatever you want to call it, whatever labels you want to put on it. But tragedy plus time equals comedy. And these comedians are gladiators of the waters that no one dares dive into.
Yeah.
They will go in there
waters,
with reckless abandon. They will go into those waters, and it's magical to see. And they rely on nothing but themselves, and it's so cool because you don't get that in any other art form.
I know, man. You're right.
There's no canvas. There's nothing like there's no guitar. There's no
Unless you're Dimitri Martin, but yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, unless you're
Yeah.
Dimitri Martin or Bo Burnham.
Yeah.
Who both of those guys,
Very musically
phenomenal,
inclined. Yeah,
phenomenal. But yeah, I mean, it is a beautiful art form that is unique, in and of itself. And I mean, there are comedians out there, and what's so cool is you'll find a comedian.
Here we go.
That is yours.
Let's do it.
I mean,
let's do it.
So I'm gonna shout out one of my favorite personal comedians, Kyle Kinane.
Is he on the Mount Rushmore?
For my personal comedy, yes. Not like if you were telling me to make a Mount Rushmore of comedy, no, he wouldn't be on there. But for my personal, absolutely, Kyle Kinane. His new album, Trampoline in a Ditch, just came out 2020. It is amazing. It came out July 10th. You should go listen to it. All of his other stand-up specials are awesome too. But you know what? If you don't think he's funny, guess what? There's a million other guys and girls out there that are so cool and so funny. But yeah, I mean, gosh, they're endless. I mean, you and me have talked about so many of them.
Ooh, like I feel like people can hear us smiling through the mic right now. You know?
Yeah.
What a beautiful. It's so beautiful when it works, because when you think too, art is so subjective, but at the same time, when a comedian says something, and then you hear everybody in the audience at the same time have this same impulsive reaction, which is just to laugh. But how do you make somebody do that with words? I mean, because in other contexts or in other orders, nothing.
Right.
But the fact that you're not trained to do that, you hear something and you just laugh.
Yeah.
And I mean, like my name is Hebrew for laughter.
Oh, okay.
Isaac is Hebrew for laughter. Not saying I'm funny, but I'm saying, like even God goes, dude, you need some humor, man. You don't think God is funny?
Oh,
dude, stuff happens all the time. Like, okay.
God has a sense of humor, bro.
You sprained your ankle. Not saying God did this to you, but you sprained your ankle. For the first time ever in 5 years of CrossFit, you have an injury.
Yeah, and it's my own fault.
And your teammate, who's also been doing it for 5 years, she sprains the same ankle.
Who also has never had an injury.
Never had an injury.
Yeah. We 2 days apart.
You're gonna look like even now. It's funny.
I was gonna say
me.
like I'm gonna go buy a lottery ticket. That's insane.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. If anyone listening to this, CrossFit does not cause injuries. Yeah. let me be very clear. I've been doing CrossFit for 5 years unscathed. Yeah, and it was my own fault, and it wasn't doing a very unconventional movement that you would never do. Rope climbs. You wouldn't do that in a CrossFit class most of the time ever.
And then it happened.
And it happened.
Dude,
yeah. Freak accident. 1 in a million chance.
So important, man.
Laughter's so important, and there are so many examples of comedians that have brought light onto a subject that no one had laughed about or even thought about laughing about ever. But because they were able to bring it out of you, they were able to pull it out of you with their amazing like romance of words,
right?
Like they can pull that emotion out of you and make you look at that subject like, well, maybe that wasn't so bad, you know.
That is kind of funny.
That is kind of funny, you know. And you have a whole new perspective on it, and so you almost see things through the comedian's eyes, and the way comedians view things is so funny that it is contagious. Like you have to, I mean, you almost have no choice but to laugh.
Oh yeah, and you think about the way, like when you watch something like comedians in cars getting coffee.
Oh yeah,
there's something like where comedians are hanging out, and you think, man, I wonder what it's like to be that funny and hang out with other people that are that funny and just go through life.
Yeah,
because you see someone like I don't know, just pick something random, like you stepping gum in a parking lot, or you're picking up dog stuff, or someone is trying to open their trunk with their remote sensor, whatever it is, and their hands are full of groceries, and two comedians walk by, and they can just both make quick little punchlines just off the cuff, and it's just something funny about it. They just like keep going.
Yeah,
like what? I mean, what a skill set,
dude. But also there are comedians that I will say, like, and they talk about this on stage. People expect them to be funny off stage, but they're not
at all. Like
they're normal people, they're regular people, but they have this incredible mind that they look at things so differently. Like let's take Dimitri Martin that we mentioned a few minutes ago. Yeah. Dimitri Martin's probably a decently funny guy in person, but when the second he gets on stage, like, dude, he is hilarious. Like, I mean,
just like one-liners. Yeah.
Oh man, he has a 15-minute bit of just one-liners, and literally every single one, you're like, how did you think of that, dude?
Yeah.
Like that is hilarious. Thinking about, like, statues are awesome because it lets me think of great men if birds got to defecate all over them. I'm taking a little bit of colorful language out of there. Yeah. But it's just I mean, he just has 15 minutes of straight one-liners, and you're just rolling laughing. Then you have a complete then you have a guy as raunchy and vulgar as Daniel Tosh, who can go for forever and talk about things like 9/11.
He has flown in the face of cancel culture for 12 years.
Oh yeah. I mean, just absolutely like no borders to his comedy at all. Him, Anthony Jeselnik. He's another guy. Just no borders. Whatever line you think he can cross, he's crossed it a million times over.
Yeah.
But then you have guys that don't cross the line at all that are just as funny, like Jim Gaffigan.
Yeah.
Jim Gaffigan barely
clean comedy.
Barely cusses. The dude like doesn't even cuss in his comedy act. He basically has like family-friendly comedy.
Yeah.
But he is one of the top comedians in the world. So it doesn't matter what genre you enjoy. Like there is a comedian or a genre of comedy out there for you. It's just so, and guess what? All they're trying to do is make you laugh. And if you don't think it's funny, don't take offense to it. They're just trying to make you laugh.
Yeah.
And if like, it really, man, this country almost needs to learn how to take a joke sometimes. And you know, like when people are just joking, that's what's awesome, because when it's stand up, it's a joke.
Yeah.
No matter what they say, they're joking. Like it's comedy.
Yeah. We need it. We absolutely
desperately
need it. Who is on your right now today? What is it? November 21st, 2020.
Mm-hmm.
Who is on Michael Thomas's personal Mount Rushmore of comedy tonight?
Like my personal Mount Rushmore?
As of tonight. Because kind of depends if you're in the mood for who you've been listening to a lot.
Yeah.
Maybe appreciate differently.
Well, the first one I'd put on my Mount Rushmore would have to be the guy who got me into stand-up, which is Mike Birbiglia.
No kidding.
Huge shout out to Birbigglebug.
I've been listening to some of his really old stuff this past week.
Man.
Two
Drink Mike?
Yes, I just listened to that one.
Man. Dude, I'm telling you, like that's what got me into comedy, was that right there. Was Mike Birbiglia's original stand-up specials, because my sisters had him downloaded on iTunes back when when all you had was iTunes. I think I was in like 5th grade, and I listened to it, and he said dirty words, and I thought it was cool. I downloaded onto my iPod Shuffle, and my parents didn't know. Yeah. Or whatever.
Sorry, Mom and Dad.
Yeah, sorry, Mom and Dad. But yeah, I mean, I just have always, and to this day, I think he is just so funny. I love Mike Birbiglia. Dave Chappelle's on there for sure. That has to. I mean, there's no man on earth that is that funny. Like, I mean, I think he's probably, like, if I had to say who's the funniest guy on earth, I'd probably say Dave Chappelle. Actually, I'd definitely say Dave Chappelle. There's no one funnier. He's the funniest man on the planet, probably. I mean, he is so funny. I mean, it is just painful. How funny that guy is. And obviously, like I said earlier, I'd put Kyle Kinane on there, just because Kyle Kinane, I mean, from the first time I heard him, years and years and years ago, I was in high school, and I would listen to Pandora stand up as I would go to bed, because I was just like, this is like it's a good way to go to bed. It's a good way to end the day with a little bit of humor. And I did that for a little while, but Kyle Kinane was like the one guy I was like, man, every time he comes up, I always laugh. Like really? I would literally laugh out loud, because I just always found him so funny. But the fourth one is tough. I would love to hear your Mount Rushmore before I make a final decision, because I have about 3 up in the air, and I'm worried you're going to take one. So
throw your 3 out there for the record. You want me to hear? Okay.
I want to hear yours.
My personal. Yeah. Not that I think should be up there, but my personal. I'm going to go with. I think the comedian who got me into comedy as a concept, Jerry Seinfeld.
Ooh.
And one thing, was
that from the show or from his stand-up?
It was from the show. Because of that, I started seeing what stand-up comedy was, because there's bits in the show. And then I remember my parents went and saw him years ago. I was like elementary school. He came to Nashville on one of his final tours, which is weird. He just put out a special this year, which is just classic Jerry. But he had one, and I think I'm telling you for the last time. I don't know if that was the one my parents went and saw, but I remember they went and saw him live because they're big Seinfeld fans. But he as a whole got me into the concept of comedy. And it's where he was on 60 Minutes about a month back.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because I can't ever figure him out.
Why? Why
just
is that?
How he acts, how he interacts with people, like how he's on comedians' cars getting coffee, how he's on interviews. There's times that he's really like he laughs at stuff I don't really think is funny. And then the way he may interact with people, I think, oh, he's going to be a lot like this, and he's not. He may be kind of standoffish, or he might have something that has really I don't know. I just think it's very like little, like no significance. I don't really like bicker about it.
Yeah.
But he has like a pretty strong opinion on that. You're like, really? Like that was it? Then other things like he doesn't really care. And on the 60 Minutes interview, the person was asking, which is cool because I kind of do like seeing journalism when it's just not all political with an agenda. It's like, hey, let's just talk to Jerry Seinfeld how he's spending quarantine. And he was asking about being a comedian during all the times of PC. And one thing, I thought Jerry Seinfeld would be one of these like old-fashioned comedians where it's like, no, don't bend the knee. This is how I've always been. I'm going to stay that way. I'm not going to let the mob take us to that. And he was saying, well, I think that's part of the fun of it, is the culture has shifted this way. The culture thinks stuff needs to go this direction. So now my job as a comedian is to start to write within those confines. It's to adapt to the times. That's part of the art. That's part of you being a comedian. And I go, oh, because then there's guys where it's like, I think of like a Ricky Gervais.
Ooh, yeah.
Or even a Dave Chappelle. Like the one part of Dave Chappelle, I think about, I'm not going to say it verbatim, but he says it's one of his newer specials in the last couple of years. It sounds like Equanimity or something. I don't know if it's that one. Could be Sticks and Stones, who knows. But he's saying something, and the people in the crowd are like, ooh, and he goes, ladies and gentlemen, man the crap up. You're not going to get through the show. In the middle, you go, oh. You're like, oh. Because he's just like, I'm going to bring it.
Yeah.
And if you're not like...
I'm bringing the heat, y'all.
So you're thinking, there's comedians like that. They go, I know you guys aren't used to this because your HR staff is telling you not to be.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to bring... Then there's guys like Jerry Seinfeld where they go, that's part of being a comedian is I adapt to the times.
Right.
So I'd say Jerry Seinfeld for sure.
Okay.
Dave Chappelle.
Okay.
Jerry Seinfeld, Dave Chappelle. Holy mackerel, Dave Chappelle. I got into him. I remember someone showed me the Chappelle Show back in the day. I didn't think it was funny.
Well, the earlier seasons of the Chappelle Show, he was feeling it out more.
Really? It may have been that.
Because he like I think all of them, they're either up on Netflix now.
Or they just came out. But
okay,
I haven't watched
yeah, and I think they're on HBO Max too. The Chappelle Show, it was like Saturday Night Live unfiltered almost.
Yeah.
It was like if Saturday Night Live could be much more liberal on touchy issues.
Yeah.
Like if they had free reign on what they could do. And that's kind of what the Chappelle Show was. And then like as he like grew into it, it got better and better and better. But I mean, as far as just sheer stand up,
Dave Chappelle.
Dude, the guy, I mean, to circle it back to Joe Rogan for a second, he talks about how there's no other person he knows in comedy that can just get up on stage and just wing it. He can do a whole new hour and just wing it, and he'll kill. He'll murder the whole room and then just leave. Like, and whereas like every other comedian, they spend months, if not years, on just 20 minutes to an hour of
10
material.
to 15-minute sets, man.
Of material. Like, they spend just painstaking hours over it, whereas Chappelle can just get up there and just murder a room. Murder a room. I mean, like, they could be booing the previous guy off stage, and Chappelle would be like, I'll go up there. I don't care. They're going to love me. Like,
and he'll kill it.
He'll kill it.
Yeah.
So
I remember when
I
I
agree
was
with
in
that one,
architecture at the time, we had something in our schedule. I don't know why I did it. There was two. I remember one was Killing Them Softly was one of his specials, and I don't remember the other one right now by name. Around the same era. I need to look it up. And we got done with one of our classes. We'd have time, a couple like hours in between or something, where I'd go to the cafeteria and I'd get a to-go box of food. I'd come back to the architecture building and do a lot of computer work.
Yeah.
And I'd pull up YouTube on one of the computers and put my headphones in, and I would listen to Dave Chappelle's stand-up specials while I ate my dinner, and then would start to work back on my architecture again. And I would listen to those all the time. And it's young, dude. It's young, skinny Dave Chappelle. We're talking like early 2000s.
Yeah.
I can't remember the other name. It's Killing Them Softly.
I think he has special in I believe the year 2000 or 2001.
I think so. And there was one where it was oh gosh.
And then he took a huge hiatus from comedy.
Yeah.
And then he just came
during that time he's in the hiatus is when I started listening to his stand up.
Yeah.
And then, so I don't really know much about him.
And then he came back.
And when I saw he started putting out new specials, and they were just as funny.
He murders. He murders every time he's on stage, man.
Oh, he is so funny. And he has so many funny bits too. But he's on my Mount Rushmore. Third, dude, Ron White. Absolutely.
See, that was one of the ones. You hit it. That was one of the ones. Yep. That was one of the ones in my three. I know.
Oh my gosh.
I know. He's one
of.
Let me tell you, dude. Ever since the Blue Collar Comedy Tour, oh my gosh, dude,
the guy's cool. Oh, he comes out with the long hair,
and he's got
a
kit,
all black suit. Yeah,
I got a kit,
and he's got a cigar, and he's got a scotch, and he goes out there. And for a guy that honestly, it only seems like he has about 100 jokes out there over all the years of comedy.
Tater salad.
Yeah. but they are funny.
They call me tater salad.
Tater salad. And they're all funny.
Oh, they're all
you'll listen
so
to some.
funny.
Here's a new video on YouTube I haven't seen.
Okay.
And it's like a 7-minute, Ron White stand up, and he goes,
and you're like, oh, I need to see this.
Yeah, you go, oh, I've heard all this, but it's still funny.
But you still laugh because he delivers in a slightly different way. Oh, and when he talks about he talks about the airplane, when he talks about taking off from Beaumont to Houston,
because my man doesn't own a globe.
Yeah, we took off from the Beaumont Airport Hair Care and Tire Center there. Dude, I'm talking he is just one of the funniest dudes
they're
ever
talking
lived.
about like the plane's low on fuel, and the one guy's freaking out. How far will it take us? All the way to the sea.
In the crash. Yeah, there's a goose behind us, and the pilot was screaming, "Go around!"
Waving him around.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh, Ron White is. Oh gosh, he's hilarious. So those are my three, and again, just like you. My fourth is always kind of like this interchanging, depends who I'm listening to, who I'm in the mood for.
Well, since you said Ron White, okay, so I'll reveal it. My three that I was thinking about.
By the way, I'm so glad.
My three that I was thinking about was Ron White. My other one was Tom Segura, and the reason I didn't say Tom was I didn't love his new special. And here's the thing: his new special, his new special was funny. His new special was funny, but it was just a little too much for me. I loved it.
Mean, too raunchy?
A little too raunchy. Yeah, I thought it was great, but he did a little bit too raunchy. But that's kind of his brand, I don't ever listen to his podcast. He has a podcast called Your Mom's House with his wife, who's also a stand-up comedian. But I think that's pretty on brand for what they do. Is pretty raunchy. Yeah. Whereas Delirious, I believe, was the name of his. Or actually, no, it wasn't Delirious. That's Eddie Murphy. That's Eddie Murphy. Yeah. Gosh. Yeah.
Another giant.
Yeah.
Which one you're thinking? Completely Normal, Mostly Stories.
I think it was.
And then the one after
Mostly Stories, I believe. But it was the one that came out. I think it was 2018.
Oh.
I think it was 28.
Hold on.
But anyway,
it's one word. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, guys, this is why we need fact.
We need fact checkers in
hiring
here.
now.
I know. Yeah.
Go ahead and apply.
Oh man, yeah. Okay.
For what it's worth, that was the other day.
Disgraceful, not delirious. Yeah. Okay. It started with a D. I was close, right?
Yeah, one word.
Right. Yeah. Disgraceful. That was one of the best stand-up specials I've ever seen, and I mean, I fell in love with Tom, and I'm forever a Tom Segura fan. But the last one is one that you're probably not going to guess, and it's someone that has been mentioned on this podcast tonight already, is Bo Burnham.
Oh yeah.
So here's the reason. Bo Burnham had, and again, he hasn't had a special since Make Happy, which I think was a few years ago.
And then what was before that, right?
Yeah, what was before that? But the reason I think he is brilliant is because of, if you watch his stand-up special, it's a complete and total performance. It is not just stand-up. He transcends stand-up into this light show with piano and singing and hilarious, like almost SNL-esque bits. Like, he whatever comes out of his brain and he thinks is funny, he'll write it down and he'll try it, and if it's funny, it sticks. So his stand-up specials are this unique compilation of what he thinks is hilarious and a message that he wants to get across to his audience. And I mean, gosh, in Make Happy, I think his most recent one, he ends it with this on Kanye West's most recent tour at the time. It was his Yeezus tour, and he did this thing at the time. It was like this rant with auto-tune on his voice, and Bo Burnham went to that concert and he heard that and he was like, I'm gonna do that in my stand-up special. And he did it. And he did it in the most hilarious way that no one else but Bo Burnham can do.
Could pull it off, yeah.
No one else could pull it off. But he does actually mix messages in with his comedy, which I don't think anyone else really does. I mean, a lot of people, it's very surface level, which is what comedy is supposed to be. But Bo almost took this responsibility upon himself because he was like a young YouTube star who is so undeserving of all this fame and all this wealth and all this success that he almost felt guilty, and he portrayed that in his act at times, and I thought that was so unique and so cool. And I still do, and I always will. So, I mean, I hope he takes stage again. I think he said that he would if he feels like he has something else to talk about.
Yeah.
Which I hope he, eventually, he will take stage again because, I mean, that guy, dude, that guy's special. He has a brain for it. His brain is unlike anyone else's, and you truly see that when you listen to his special and watch it. Yeah.
Man, so you have Mike Birbiglia, Dave Chappelle, and then hold on,
Kyle Kinane.
Oh yeah, it's under the radar. And then either Ron White, Tom Segura, or Bo Burnham. Would you say Bo Burnham?
I'll put Bo Burnham on there because you said Ron White. Yeah, because Ron White, man, again, Ron White is so like grassroots for me because Blue Collar Comedy Tour was one of the first comedy things I ever watched.
Yeah.
I mean, Jeff Foxworthy, oh my gosh, Jeff Foxworthy killed it. He always kills it.
To this day, yeah.
I mean, his bit about hunting with his wife is one of the funniest bits I've ever heard in my entire life. Like, about wanting to like when the
just shoot it.
when the deer comes and like he was in the tree stand and like his wife was sitting next to him. He finally took his wife hunting, and like a deer came out and he like pulled the gun up and she was like, "Oh my, look how cute he is. He looks just like Bambi's daddy." And then he Jeff pulls the gun up and she's like, "Oh, you ain't gonna shoot it, are you?" And he's like, "Why else do you think I brought a gun?" And then his wife goes, "Run, deer, run!" like screams at the deer stand. It's just, I mean, the dude and man, his if you might be a redneck and his redneck dictionary, like,
oh man,
his redneck dictionary is just. Man,
Jeff Foxworthy,
so unique.
So he'd probably be in one of my fourth. So my fourth spot's with this role.
Yeah,
and it depends. There's times where it's been Jim Gaffigan. Mm-hmm. There's times where it's been Nate Bargatze.
Nate Bargatze's great. Local Nashville guy. Shout out Nashville local.
Thank you. That dude is that guy. It's also tough because over time, I've just kind of gotten tired of the raunchy comedy. Which you told me Tom Segura like 4 years ago, 4.5 years ago, and I listened to his stuff, and the first time I listened to it, I'm like, oh, this is so raunchy, but there's some funny parts. So I went back and listened to it again. Now I knew what to expect, and I would laugh and laugh and laugh.
Right.
I tell you what, but
I tell you what.
But then over time, you grow.
Yeah.
And also too, like as a Christian, it's like certain things you don't just desire anymore, or you don't like they don't appeal.
Well,
to
there's
you.
a certain amount of raunchiness that I'm willing to go to.
You're justified for comedy,
which isn't. It's not necessarily a boundaries thing. It's more of just like a raunchiness level that I'm not willing to go to. It's almost like the difference in like bathroom humor. Almost. It's like potty humor.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it is funny. Like, it's funny
and in that context
in and of itself. Yeah.
Because things like Nate Bargatze. Dude is super clean, but he acts like, if you've never listened to him, you ought to. He has a special on Netflix called Tennessee Kid. Yep. And he has one I first saw him on the stand-ups. He was the very first one.
Yeah.
And he had me rolling. He acts like he's just this dumb Southerner that doesn't know he's supposed to be on stage doing stand-up.
Right.
Because he almost kind of like
he almost seems like he wandered onto stage.
Yeah. Like, I don't write anything, and I have no punchline, and he'll just say it, but it's hilarious.
Oh.
And it's wholesome. It really is.
It really is, yeah.
And so it's hilarious. Nate Bargatze, so it'd be like, it'd be someone like Jim Gaffigan would be there, then Nate Bargatze would be there, then Jeff Foxworthy would be there, then Bill Burr would be there. Mm-hmm. Holy mackerel. Bill Burr. We can't lose Bill Burr.
We can't talk about stand-up comedy and not mention Bill Burr.
Because Bill Burr, when I first got really got into comedy, which is pre-podcast, I was doing a ton.
Shout out to Paper Tiger if you haven't watched it yet, go watch it.
All of us. He has a bunch of great specials.
He has a million, but I think Paper Tiger's his most recent one. Yeah. You should go watch it.
And even when I would listen to his comedy, I go, this guy's really not funny. And then I got a little bit older and listened to more, and I go, this guy is hilarious.
He's a genius.
Because he's also one of those where he'll just say it, Yeah. He doesn't care. And he's just one of those where he he's not going to let the culture. He's like antithetical to like a Jerry Seinfeld, where I'm not going to write within the confines, but he's not going to say a bunch of stuff. It's almost like he just goes up there and it's just like his own observations. That's all it is.
What I would
he's not like
say,
trying to push an agenda, just like his observations, like his cruise ship bit.
Dude,
his gorilla bit. You remember the gorilla, the kid
bit.
Story? Just, dude, don't want to ruin any. He's just funny, man. He's just like he's like this gem.
But start to finish though, as far as a master of comedy, a master of the craft, I would say start to finish. Like I mean, let's just take Paper Tiger for example.
Sure.
Like start to finish, that is one of the most masterfully. Yeah. Go ahead. That is one of the most masterful stand-up specials I've ever seen.
Paper
Tiger. From start to finish, he knew exactly what he was saying, knew exactly what he was doing, and all of his punchlines were immaculate. I mean, he had like the timing, everything was perfect. I mean, that guy is like, talk about mastering comedy, like mastering the art of just stand up. Like I'm not like we were talking about Dave Chappelle. Dave Chappelle is just a natural. He's just a natural. It's almost effortless. But if you talk about someone who really puts in the work, who like from the beginning just grinds and just has a vision and it just has a mind for stand up. I mean, I don't even know if there's anyone you can put against Bill Burr.
Really?
I mean, dude, in my opinion, as far as like, I don't even want to say in my opinion, as far as guys that could sell out an arena, he's top 5.
Bill Burr.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just like sell, like ability to sell. I would say Dave Chappelle's up there. Obviously, I think Joe Rogan's up there just from notoriety.
Yeah.
Joe Rogan's specials are hilarious. Take nothing away from him. He is so funny. You should, if you haven't listened to him, go listen to Joe Rogan. He is hilarious. Yeah. I mean that guy can sell out arenas. I mean, Kevin Hart can sell out arenas.
Football stadiums, man. Yeah.
Football stadiums.
He
Yeah.
had a new one come out the other day, but
I didn't like it. Kevin Hart's newest one, I didn't love. I thought it was good, but it wasn't his best stuff. Yeah, I mean, some of those guys, but I mean, it's like the Dane Cook effect, though. You know, the Dane Cook effect. You know, you almost get too big for your britches, and it can make or break you sometimes.
Man. Dude, oh man, and it's so cool to see the way these guys are, even outside of it all. Like, that's one thing I liked about Comedians Cards Getting Coffee is just seeing them. Because I've never liked Kevin Hart's stand-up. And again, art is subjective.
Right.
But when I saw him on that show, him just interacting with Jerry Seinfeld, I go, he's pretty funny.
He's hilarious.
He's pretty funny.
Kevin Hart interacting with The Rock in general is some of the funniest comedy you can buy.
He's actually like a funny guy. Yeah, it's like he's a funny
hilarious
guy. And then there's stuff like that Jeff Foxworthy, that short interview-style documentary, that round table that, I sent you. Just stumbled upon it and watched it. And Jeff Foxworthy, man, it's just, for a guy that's that big, it's the opposite of the Dan Cook event, where it's like he didn't let it go to his head,
Nope. Yeah.
And you see the way he's involved, and just, he leads a Bible study at a homeless mission in Atlanta. Had no idea.
Right. Very humble
dude
guy.
Just seems like a guy who would walk out here right now and sit down with us and just be just down to earth.
Yeah, he'd pour glass and light up a cigar, and he would.
Gosh, I hope
he would join us. Absolutely.
Comedy's so great. I just want to go watch stand. I just want to, like, when I leave here.
I know. I really wanted to go watch Brendan Schaub and Theo Vaughn this weekend at Zany's, but
they in town?
Yeah. My sprained ankle happened. So
that's kind of like you kind of like those kind of guys in stand.
Well, I'm a huge fan of Brendan Schaub, just because fighting. Yeah. I love his his take on a lot of UFC, because I'm pretty into the UFC. I like mixed martial arts. I'm definitely a fan. And because he was a fighter, I love his perspective on things. So, but also his new Showtime special, I thought was really funny. I really liked it.
One.
But he's only like 2-3 years into comedy, dude. Yeah. He is very, very green. So like, if he's this funny already, like, sky's the limit.
Yeah.
But Theo Vaughn, man, dude.
You've been swearing by Theo Vaughn for a good 4
or 5 years. Yeah. I've been a Theo Von fan for a while. Yeah, probably before.
And he's not even on your Mount Rushmore?
The problem is because Theo hasn't had enough specials yet.
Gotcha.
As far as just a funny individual, he is one of the funniest individuals on the planet. But like, I mean, he just needs a little bit more time with his stand-up specials. You know, he has one that's pretty darn good. It's on Netflix. I think it's called No Offense. It's on Netflix. You should go watch it. But yeah, just give him a little bit more time. He'll keep crushing it.
Oh, I saw. Dude, Tim Allen, he has some funny. I'm thinking old stand-up, because even like Kevin James has some pretty funny stand-up. Chris Tucker had one from a couple years ago. I can't remember the name of it now. And he's funny. And he talked about when he would go over to Michael Jackson's house.
Oh, yeah,
and how Michael Jackson had like giraffes walking around.
Is this like the one where he was like really dressed up for the occasion? His stand-up special. Chris Tucker was like in a suit or something, like a tuxedo.
Yeah,
almost.
I think he was. Yeah, like in a white
tuxedo.
Dinner jacket
Yeah,
or something like that.
Yeah, that was a great special.
It was because you think, oh, Chris Tucker. No one ever thinks about
the
him
guy
being
from
funny.
Rush Hour.
Yeah, so you think Chris Rock's a funny one, but then you watch that and he killed it. Stuff like that. Oh gosh, we've seen so much. I know between the two of us, we've seen so much stand up. But like Tim Allen, I'd watch some of his old bits from the '90s. He had stand up specials, and they're funny. Kevin James has some pretty funny stand up.
Yeah.
I watched Rob Schneider's new one. It's about it's something about being like, what is it called? It's brand new, and he keeps talking about how he's half Filipino, half Jewish or something like that.
Okay.
I can't remember. It's actually it's pretty funny because he does all these accents and stuff the whole time. And that's the sad thing is impersonations are starting to go away because it's like, oh, if you do an Asian accent, well, you're being racist toward the entire Asian race. Like, dude, if you have a bit, talking about like an Asian person and you're doing an Asian accent, you give them a name and you're just talking about a conversation you had with a guy and the guy was Asian. I'm like, oh, that is so racist. You're like, well, dude, that's one of those things. It's part of comedy because when I hear that, I go, okay, I'm picturing that conversation. I'm picturing you talking to a 75-year-old Chinese man now.
Yeah. The accent immerses you into the situation.
Exactly.
Yeah, it gives you a mental visual.
Voice. Yeah.
But I mean, as far as like trailblazers in the genre of comedy, like as far as just like who did it first. I mean, there's a lot of people we can point the finger at as to who was the first to I mean, Richard Pryor has to be one of the first people that we have to credit the art of stand-up to. And then you have to go to probably like Eddie Murphy.
I'd even say something like a Johnny Carson.
Well,
the way you
Johnny Carson,
comedy,
yeah,
you pretty much created a platform for comedians.
Absolutely, yeah.
So that's a whole different skill set too.
George Carlin.
Yeah.
I mean, he was kind of a trailblazer.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Talk about woke.
Yeah, I mean,
wow, woke.
Oh, and talk about breaking down like things that weren't acceptable to say. I mean, his bit on cursing. I mean, that was one of the more controversial bits ever. But you know, he didn't. You know, he was 6 in one hand, half a dozen in the other. He didn't care. Like it was whatever for Carlin. But I mean, there were a lot of guys that were like right there.
Yeah.
I mean, I've told you before, I have such a big appreciation for like that Bernie Mac stand up he did.
The Def Jam.
The Def Jam when the comedian before him got booed off stage. I think like the previous couple comedians got booed off stage.
Oh, that'd be a hard crowd. That's intimidating, dude.
It was bad. Like I think it was man, I forget who it was. It was like it was someone's Def Jam that they were hosting. It was like something Martin or
Martin Lawrence.
It might have been Martin Lawrence. I don't remember, but
man, a lot of them did Def Jam. Martin Lawrence, Steve Harvey.
But they were hosting,
Bernie
and Bernie Mac was up next, and I think Martin Lawrence was hosting, and Bernie Mac just came out, and he's like, "I ain't scared of you MFers," you know, and that was the whole bit. You know, and he had like a, you know, like the DJ. He got the DJ into it, and you know what? But the whole thing was he took the bull by the horns. He's like, I ain't scared of you people. Yeah. He's like, boo me,
you boo
go,
everyone off stage.
Go, yeah, like I ain't
great,
scared
man.
of you. You know, and it's just like that mentality for comedians, just like you know, just you know, being a bull in a china shop, just
dude.
reckless abandon and just going for
Such thick skin, man.
Oh yeah, they just and so huge props to Bernie Mac, rest in peace for that. I mean, that is a timeless and classic stand-up bit that will go down in history forever. I mean, the dude had his own face airbrushed on his jeans in that bit. If nothing says 90s, I think that says it best.
Oh man. Yeah, there's a lot of great, man. There's a funny Martin Lawrence bit because it's also the same era, same culture of comedy. You're getting like this is black comedy. This is urban New York. This is the same hip hop culture.
Mm-hmm.
We're now going into homage, which is why Def Jam took off the way it did. And there's one bit, and it wasn't Def Jam. It was like one of his specials. And Martin Lawrence, I'm not gonna be super graphic here, but he walks out to the mic on stage in just a Speedo. And he has and earmuffs to anyone who doesn't need to hear this, but he's wearing a Speedo, and he has like this massive bulge in the front of his Speedo,
very large
bulge,
yes.
And he's walking towards the mic, and it doesn't seem like unnatural. It just seems like wow, like I mean, it's all you're wearing, so everyone can see it. And he walks up to the mic, and then he reaches in his Speedo, and he pulls out a washcloth and starts dabbing his forehead with it because he was saying how stressed was the crowd. That's what the bulge was the whole time, is his washcloth. He used to start to wipe the sweat around his hairline. Oh, it's hilarious.
Dude,
because it's so unexpected. And people are whistling and cheering. They think, oh, my gosh, look how hot he is.
Oh.
And then, like, even that, he's like laughing at himself.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, gosh, man. Comedy is so beautiful.
It is beautiful.
Okay.
It is one of the last great art forms that we have in like modern culture.
Favorite bit by any comedian to end comedy on right now? What comes to mind? Any of the ones you name on your Mount Rushmore is fine.
Favorite bit by any comedian? Oh man, that is specific. You're not asking me my favorite artist. You're asking me my favorite song. Yeah. Oh man, there's so many awesome ones. Oh man, a few come to mind from Mike Birbiglia. A few come to mind. Man, I would probably say, I don't know. Is there one that comes to mind for you first?
No,
dude,
I'm trying all the Ron Juan. I mean, it's gonna be Ron Juan. I know it has to be.
Dude, I'm thinking of so many right now. I've literally thought of like 5 or 6.
If I throw out a name, will it help you at all?
I mean, I'm thinking of a few different names. There's just so. I mean, it's hard to nail down one bit because each bit is so different.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I would venture to say, man, I wouldn't even say a bit. I would just say probably like Mike Birbiglia's first album, the album I fell in love with so much, which was Two Drink Mike back in like 2005. He was talking about rappers on Cribs. Dude, oh my gosh. He's like, I'm not going to ruin the bit, but essentially he's just like, watching Cribs, and the rapper's like, this is my crib, this is my ride, these are my hoes, I am a rollin'. And then Mike Birbiglia's like, well, I just love to be there when the cameras turn off. And then, he's like, these hoes are nice, but at a certain point in a man's life, he wants love.
He's always so like, almost effeminate in the way he talks.
Dude, it's just that whole, almost that whole album, Two Drink Mike, like, dude, I mean, it's just like I almost can't put anything above it because it's what got me into comedy. Like I've
sentimentality.
Oh man, I've thought about 5 or 6 Dave Chappelle bits while I was sitting here, a couple Ron White bits. Like the airplane bit that we were naming earlier is one of my favorite Ron White bits. My favorite Ron White bit, I will definitely say, is the driving drunk. When he got stopped by sobriety test, and when they're like, all right, we want you to stand on one leg and touch your nose and say the alphabet. He's like, that's not a sobriety test. That's the blank agility test. And I'm not very agile.
It was like, hop in the passenger seat, I'll drive around the block.
Yeah. It's like, how about we go back to the bar and play some darts and shoot some pool? I'll show you some skills.
I would say, Mr. White, is that scotch I smell? He goes, that scotch has been in my tongue since '85.
It's like, did you, like, sir, if you had anything to drink? He's like, well, I had a mixed drink. He's like, well, what did you have? Well, it was scotch and ice, or something along that, something like that, and
Oh man.
Oh yeah, I mean,
dude.
Ron White has so many.
I can't think of it like a specific bit, but it's little things that even he credits to Jeff Fox where they help him get the timing down. There's stuff he'll drop in there where he'd be like, I was flying to Vegas on my plane that you guys bought me, and you like tell the crowd that, and just little things like that. Oh, there's one where oh gosh, there's so many. There's one bit. It's not the whole bit because it's pretty raunchy too. It's the Dr. Phil story.
Oh,
but it's when he's leaving. So they're on a yacht in Monte Carlo, and he's leaving drunk as a skunk off the scotch. He just performed the raunchiest bit he's ever written because he did a drunk stand-up set. But he's leaving, and he's talking about the little pier you're having to navigate getting back to like through the harbor back to the shore to go back to their hotel. And there's it's an 18-inch step down when he's walking, and Dr. Phil yells at him like, "Big step, Ron." And he's like, "Thanks, Doc." I don't know about my career stuff. He's a doctor, not me.
Yeah.
And he talks about it when it's like, 18 inches is far, but he's like, or like falling when you fall down on flat ground. He's like, it hurts, but when you fall another 18 inches, he's like, but it's just like little things like that, like big step, Ron. He's like, "Thanks, Doc."
It's like my wife told me to take the dogs out, because she ain't gonna do it. He's like in.
She has the temperature.
Yeah, the temperature. My wife's like,
well, they're Connecticut in a big snowstorm.
Yeah, it's 0 degrees Fahrenheit on the thermostat. My wife yells at me, "What temperature is it outside?" And I said, "There isn't one." Then I go out there, take the dogs out, and the people from the hotel are like the sign says no dogs. And he's got his 2 dogs out there, Sluggo and the other one,
Mustard.
And then he's like, well, the sign's wrong. It should say 2 dogs. It's just the simplest stuff from Ron White, man. It's just,
gosh, he kills it.
He's endless, man.
Oh,
he is a treasure trove.
Oh man. Oh oh gosh, he's so good. Dave Chappelle's so good. I don't know, they're all coming to mind. I can't think straight. There's so many good bits. Even one that I thought was hilarious, and I think it's just fresh in my mind. I was talking to somebody about it the other day it might have been Sticks and Stones. It was a 2019 special. That's what I'm thinking of for Dave Chappelle. And he's talking about different things that happened. And he said, it's a shame what happened to that French actor. I remember watching, I go, I keep up. I go, what French actor? And he's like talking more about it. What happened to him and their career got ruined and what happened, this poor French actor. And then I can kind of see now the way it's developing that, okay, the crowd doesn't know either.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, well, okay, what did I not know? And he's like, y'all know the French actor. And then you can hear the crowd's like, what is he talking about? He goes, Juicy as Smollett. It's about Jussie Smollett. And he starts talking about the whole hoax where Jussie Smollett, the actor, pretty much he staged a hate crime attack against himself in Chicago. But Dave Chappelle unpacks the whole thing. And it is just hilarious.
Gold.
Everything about it. And there's things about just the way he talks about like these. He said those 2 white guys in Make America Great Again hats that jumped Jussie Smollett and tied a noose around his neck. Well, that was the whole story. They ran with that. Well, come to find out, there were 2 Nigerian guys that Jussie Smollett hired. But then when he's talking through the bit and he's talking about like what white guys are going to walk around Chicago at 2 a.m. in January with a rope, because I haven't seen a rope since the 1800s. Like, he said, who's going to walk around
with a rope?
He's like, Chicago with Make America Great Again hats, and they call him a faggot N-word with a hard R, is what the claim was in the news. You can look it up. Like, that was because Jussie Smollett is gay.
Exactly, yeah.
And he's black. And he goes, they called me a faggot N-word. It was a hate crime. It was a racial slur, and they were making fun of my sexuality. And then he's talking about, he's like, and Dave Chappelle's talking about it, and he's like, and he says the term, and he's like, that doesn't sound like, something that two white guys and make really gonna happen. So he goes, sounds like something that I would say. They're just so honest. Oh my gosh, it is to this day, like it's coming and it's funny,
dude.
And it's a way that you can just make one of these situations that was huge. It was tense for a while. It was dividing people for a while.
No one else would dare bring that up on stage, but
especially
Chappelle.
to a majority black audience with a black comedian. Because even if you go, yeah, he was in the wrong. Oh gosh, and he talks about the times he met OJ. There's so many things like that.
Oh man.
Oh yeah, but you don't think no one's gonna bring that up, the Jussie Smollett thing? Because that's one instance. You don't know. Just talk about Dave Chappelle. Nothing's off limits. I'll talk about it. I'm a comedian.
Yeah.
Oh, and he kills it. Yeah, Dave Chappelle's great. Man. Any other comedy before we move out of comedy? I want to go to one last. We already went long, so
yeah, we've already gone a little long.
Which this has been for at least 3 years. I've been wanting to do this interview, so I think the viewers will hopefully understand.
Yeah, and we'll do this again probably soon.
Yeah. We'll have to talk. We'll talk about marijuana and stuff.
Yeah, we'll get into all that stuff.
Oh, absolutely. Anything else about comedy before we move out of it?
Dude,
Any
I'm good.
Final thoughts? Okay, last section I really want to get into with you. TV shows. We could do movies, but I feel like I'm really not well versed in movies. But you and we can talk some TV shows.
We can.
And let's talk through a couple and why you like them, and let's just talk.
So probably my favorite TV show I've ever watched is probably Breaking Bad. I would say that's a pretty clear first place winner.
Be still my heart.
Yeah, I've seen it through a few times, probably 2 or 3. Actually, I think 3 now.
Mm.
Phenomenal show. I'm a Game of Thrones guy, for sure. Lots of Game of Thrones fans. If you're listening, I feel the exact same way you feel about the last season. Man, there's so many good shows that I've just loved over the years. The Sopranos would be one of them.
Goodness gracious.
Oh yeah, The Sopranos is a big one. Yeah, I'm much more into like TV dramas like that than I am just like TV shows. Like a more of a Seinfeld type deal where it's like like you can like pick up from any episode and know where you're at.
Yeah.
I'm more into like the dramas mainly, but yeah.
Okay. I don't know anything about Game of Thrones. You're more than welcome to talk about it, of course. But having seen The Sopranos and being one of my number one, just a huge love mob stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But so Sopranos is great. Breaking Bad, oh my gosh, love Breaking Bad. Love The Sopranos. So I want to talk about that with you. Of course, anything else we want to talk about, any other shows. Okay, what makes Breaking Bad just so second to none?
Well, for one, just the simple answer is Bryan Cranston. That's just the simple answer. Is an absolute masterful portrayal of Walter White, and man, holy cow!
Do you want to explain the premise to people that maybe have not seen the show?
Which is possibly the craziest premise of all time.
Yeah.
So,
and apparently, it's inspired. The premise is inspired by an actual story.
Oh, really?
Of an actual situation. I don't know about, of course, the events, but the premise.
Well, I mean, imagine you're, on the board at AMC back, I don't even know how long ago this was, like
probably 2007,
2008, yeah.
Probably 2008.
And someone walks in and is like, all right, I got an idea for you.
Yeah.
So there's this way overqualified high school chemistry professor that is diagnosed with cancer. He's going to die. And he has nothing to leave his family. He's a loser, basically. Like lifelong, he's just been failure after failure, even though he is so brilliant, so smart. And he decides that, through certain avenues, the only way he can make money and leave inheritance and a legacy for his family and give them something to live off of after he's gone is to make meth and to sell meth. And he does it through one of his ex-students who is one of his worst students, Jesse Pinkman. And they, through certain avenues start, cooking and selling meth together, but not just but I mean that that sounds interesting, but really what's pretty awesome about it is not just meth, it's the quality that they're selling, and the chemistry, the sheer chemistry that goes into the show is fascinating. A lot of people knock season 1 for being a little bit slow. I don't necessarily agree, because I was pretty hooked from the beginning. But if that is you, stick to the second season, because it literally every season gets better. Every season gets better.
I'm halfway through the last season for my third time now, watching it through, and even like knowing what's coming, there's so many little things in there you forget about, but it gets better every single time.
Yeah,
and you just watch it every couple of years. Oh man. And one thing I think they did really well in the show, which kind of goes, it's weird because I've only seen The Office be the other kind of show that's done something like that, is just how normal and almost like understandable they make the entire setting of the show and the kind of people, where it's like these people make good TV characters,
right?
But then you think, okay, these are kind of like people in real life. Like, this isn't super unrealistic, which is one thing like Seinfeld also did well. Was like, okay, it's a pretty average apartment. This is a pretty average friend group. Nobody has some super, super stellar off the wall career where it's unbelievable. You know, stuff like even Breaking Bad. It's like, it's an average ranch house. He drives an average car. He has car troubles.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing about it.
He's a struggling high school chemistry teacher.
You don't look at that. Like, there's shows you watch and then you see the guy's condo, the penthouse, and you see the cars and the suits and the way the women act and talk, and the way that they don't interrupt each other in the punchlines, and the way it's all written. Like, it's a TV show. But the rest of these, you go, okay, that actually kind of looks like real life.
It's very raw.
This feels real life.
Yeah.
Like, nothing about The Office. Nothing about that office is flashy. You don't look at that and go, oh, that's the kind of office setting I hope I work in one day after college. They didn't have anything catered in. They didn't have a cool view. You look at stuff like that and you go, that's pretty ordinary.
There's no Mad Men. Like, there's nothing.
Don't talk
but Mad Men's very sexy. It's very, like everything about it, from the wardrobe to the settings to the dialogue, to like the smoking cigarettes.
Just bravado.
And
it's just bravado.
Yeah.
And then Breaking Bad is like, oh wow, this is like an ordinary.
This is literal real life. This is happening like right now. This is happening today. Yeah.
Oh gosh, Breaking Bad, so good, so good. What's I don't know, like an episode or a moment of Breaking Bad that just kind of stands out to you, that they kind of
besides the finale,
besides the finale, but that kind of epitomizes why you like the show in the first place.
I think it was, I want to say the finale of season 2 or 3. I'm not sure which one it was. I'd have to look it up to be sure.
Yeah.
But there was a scene where Walter is still kind of like, you don't really know, like he's still very timid. He's still the high school chemistry teacher. He's still kind of like the wimp, and he's not Heisenberg. And the first glimpse you get of Heisenberg is like my favorite part of the show, and that's when he's in like a Walmart or Home Depot-ish setting,
exactly
and he sees these guys that are clearly like junkies, and they're putting all these supplies in their cart, and Walter realizes that probably no one else in the store would realize, or no normal person would realize, like they're getting all the materials to make meth, and he doesn't say anything to him, like they check out or whatever.
Yeah, and he gives him a little bit of advice at one point.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then they're in the parking lot, and then Walter goes up to him, and I believe TV on the radio is the song, like that's the group. The band that's playing. From this song, I think it's called like DLZ or something like that. It's a really cool song, but he just walks up to them, and he just like has a look that you have not seen to this point in the show at all, and he just looks at them and he goes, "Stay out of my territory," or something along those lines, something to that effect, and you're just like, whoa, like a switch just flipped. Like the show, like in my opinion, the show changed from that point because you saw him go from Walter to Heisenberg, and that was like
it was like his little metamorphosis or whatever.
That was like one of the points where you're like, whoa, like this is a different dude now. You know, like that was one of my favorite. Has always been one of my favorite points in the show. What about for you? What's one of those points?
In Breaking Bad.
Yeah, in Breaking Bad. One of your favorite points.
Ooh, man. I don't. Oh man, that's a good question. I never think about my own answer to these questions.
Yeah,
honestly, dude. I think. Oh man, there's a lot of great. Plus, since I am watching it through right now, it is fresh. If you've seen the show, you'll know. I think there's and he also reflects on it later, but there's one scene where he has to go out and get diapers, and he goes to the bar, and he's drinking a beer,
right?
And he ends up talking to this guy next to him, and the guy later comes. He ends up being a character for just a very short time, and you're seeing the way the worlds collide. I think there was something just very, it was almost it was just kind of nice, kind of simple.
They related to each other.
Yeah, and you're seeing these two guys in a bar, and the way they talk, it was weird because you're seeing this guy who's slowly becoming a kingpin of Albuquerque, New Mexico. And honestly, the entire Southwest.
Yeah.
And the stuff that he's doing, and really you're seeing him shift. Like, because I'm at the point in the show where I look at all the people that have pretty much died directly or indirectly due to his actions and the people around him. Because the thing is, you don't really see him becoming more and more evil, which kind of we were talking about with like Hitler and guys like that. You don't see it happening. It's like the analogy
it's so gradual.
Of like, you ever heard like the frog in water? You ever like in a pot? You ever heard that? Where it's like a frog is in a pot of water and you turn it on to boil. And by the time the frog realizes that the water is boiling, it's too late and it can't get out of the pot and it dies.
Oh yeah,
and it's like a scientific study, and so it's the same thing like with humans. Like by the time you realize, like even the time with Walt when he realizes, that it kind of goes in the end of the show, that look at what this monster's become out of control. When he could have stopped, well, he's way ahead and got way more than he ever wanted. It was too late,
right?
And it was almost like one of those times where he was at a point when he was sitting there at the bar drinking a beer. You could stop it. You could turn back.
Yeah.
And I remember he talks about one of those moments later, and it's weird because I'll look at moments in my life, and I want to make sure that I'm not on the wrong side of a moment like that. When he thinks about how peaceful that, like there is something about that scene that's just kind of like, I kind of want to be there. I kind of want to be sitting there at the bar with these guys and just listen to their conversation. And just, it seems like a real quiet. It's not a loud bar. It's like a regular evening. It seems like a real peaceful setting. Something about it, I guess, with the way the show goes. For once, it's like this little peaceful oasis of a scene.
I love that.
And so then you feel like in your life, I think about moments where one time when I was at my first moving company, I worked a job. First I had to buy a new car. I needed to get money for when I was at college. So I was trying to work as much as possible. I got done with the job, and then my boss offered me to come back and work an evening job. So I went home and showered, ate lunch, hung out for a couple hours, and I came back to work. We cranked this job, had a killer job, and we got done. And we were sitting at a gas station not far from here, pounding Gatorades. You know, it's July in Tennessee. And we were like watching the sunset kind of. And we were sitting there talking. And a year later, I was out of the company. A lot of stuff went wrong. Boss kind of went down the wrong path in life. And it's one of those where I look back and go, man, that was a really good moment. I wish I could return back to that moment where we were sitting in the truck, drinking Gatorades, watching the sunset after working our tails off. For, you'd work 70 hours a week. And just be like, hey, man, like, let's just savor this right here. It's almost like that was our sitting in a bar. You can relate to Walt.
The little moments in life,
Breaking Bad has a lot of those little moments.
Yeah, and one of my favorite little moments like that in Breaking Bad is, and again, I don't think this is any warning to anyone, spoiler alert. Yeah. I mean, I don't think we've really given anything away from the show. If anything, we've if you haven't seen it, like you probably want to watch it more. But there is a scene, man.
Which one?
The one where he's holding his daughter, and it's early on, and he goes into the garage and he lifts the panel off the wall
of all the insulation.
And he says like, "Daddy did this for you."
Oh man!
And that is one of the scenes, man. Like that's one of those like sweet moments where you're like, Walt, if you could only see this moment. Like, this is what you're doing it for, but you lose sight of it, you know.
Yeah.
It's just things like that, man.
Yeah.
It is a phenomenal show, and, you know, shout out to Vince Gilligan, and, you know, all of the people that made that show possible. It's just, you know, truly a masterpiece.
Yeah. And it is one of those shows. I think Mad Men. I know you haven't seen it.
I haven't. I mean, I've seen the first season back, like literally, like I think when it aired or something. Like, I mean, it was so long. I think I was in like so little. Like, I was young and I didn't understand. I didn't respect it. I didn't like get.
Oh, you ought to watch it now.
Yeah,
I swear by Mad. I mean, AMC never's done a bad thing, but like one thing that I like, something like Mad Men, especially Breaking Bad. I really would say it for Mad Men though too. Is one of these shows, one thing they do really well is when you do really see like human nature, when you see like the depravity of man. Like Mad Men, like you said, it's sexy, everything about it. Like, you look at it and the more you're kind of seeing it, you go, this is glamorous. I kind of wish I was involved. But then you see what's actually happening in the middle of it all, and you go, oh gosh, I'm glad I wasn't alive or a part of this.
Right.
And it's kind of the same with Breaking Bad, and you look and it's like, man, I wish you could return that moment where you're peeling back the insulation, showing your baby all your hard work.
Yeah.
You know, you're starting to see the way Breaking Bad took human, and nothing about that was unbelievable.
Right.
Because you go, a human could go down
It's what you're doing it for, yeah.
And you see, like, Mad Men, everything looks glamorous, and all it does is it captures the brokenness of man. It does. Every man and woman's got an issue in that.
Yeah.
Don Draper, especially, the main character, John Hamm. But it's like, that's all of us, man.
Yeah.
That's all of us. Like, that literally showed us, like, through a keyhole, all of us.
Yeah, the imperfection and everything, yeah.
Oh, now I'm going to watch Breaking Bad and Mad Men and stand up. I'm not going to sleep before church tomorrow. I'm just going to go straight into this.
Yeah, I'm not going to sleep tonight. I'm going to take a 5-hour energy and watch stand up and Breaking Bad and Mad Men all night.
Man, dude.
And Ron White bits.
All 15 of them. And
yeah.
they're all good.
Gold.
Dude, how much is dental school?
Oh man, dude.
Man, all right. Any good? I know you said Dinner with Skeptics.
Yeah. It's a great book, Jeff Vines. Yeah, you should definitely go read it.
Like
Phenomenal book.
Recommendations, documentary. Any good? Do you watch documentaries at all?
Oh yeah, big documentary guy. Any documentary.
Good documentary that you've seen recently?
Recently,
that people should watch.
Not one that I've seen recently, but one that I rewatched recently is HBO's documentary Going Clear. Phenomenal. It's about the whole history of the Church of Scientology from start to finish. I've seen it like 2 or 3 times, but I actually rewatched it a couple weeks ago.
Wow.
Phenomenal. I mean, it goes through everything from like L. Ron Hubbard, like all the way through Tom Cruise, through like I mean, it goes through all of it, dude. And so if you're ever if that kind of thing interests you, you know.
What's it called?
Going Clear.
Going Clear on HBO.
Yeah, it's on HBO. Yeah, it's a great documentary. Yeah. But that's one of the ones I've rewatched more recently. Dude, I mean, countless documentaries. That's something that we can tap on another time.
Any other one to throw out there right now?
Man, not off the top of my head. I'll just leave you with that one.
That's good.
Yeah. Dinner with Skeptics is a great book.
Yeah.
Going Clear is a great documentary.
I think you gave people a lot of material tonight.
Yeah. And CrossFit is a phenomenal methodology. Methodology for exercise. Anyone who's looking for a new way to get fit or get in shape, I highly recommend it.
So shout out CrossFit Nashville.
CrossFit Nashville, absolutely.
And absolutely. Potentially your future brand, whatever that might be.
Whatever. Yeah. Who knows? Who knows what the future holds?
Dude, all right. Any final thoughts? Anything you want to leave people with on your way out?
Absolutely not. Just be nice to each other. Yeah.
There we go. Got a lot of that recently.
Yeah.
All right, dude.
All right.
Mike Terry Thomas.
Yeah.
Dude.
Love you, brother.
Yeah, love you too.
Yeah, dude.
Thanks for coming on.
It's been great, man. Yeah.
Dude, we haven't gotten to hang out and talk and smoke a cigar in probably over a year.
About a
right?
year, probably a little over a year. Yeah. A little over a year maybe.
So I mean this is that's one for the ages right here, man. This is pretty, I've been looking forward to doing this podcast, like I said, for several years. But even when I left Memphis yesterday morning now, I was like, I gotta make sure I have my podcast equipment because I'm gonna go get changed. I can forget my tie for work. That's fine. You know, I had my suit hanging up in the back seat. Like, all right, I'm gonna get there, but I gotta have my podcast equipment.
Right.
So, and we made it happen, man.
Absolutely, man.
Thanks for a lot of good stuff.
No, yeah. Thank you for letting me come on here. Cattle Call's awesome,
dude.
So glad to be a part of it,
dude. Thanks for coming on.
Absolutely, man.
All right. Michael Thomas, thank you.
Absolutely.
See you on the other side.
Until next time.